Harry's wife. Will they attend the coronation? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. As part of the Key Questions series, one of you, in fact I think a handful of you, asked about whether Harry and Harry's wife will attend King Charles III's coronation next year. You premised it on the basis, of course, of thinking they're a pair of troublemakers that have made it clear that they don't really want anything to do with the royal family except be able to monetize the titles and monetize their experiences and continue to bleat and whine about their supposed treatment. Other than that, they've sought to distance themselves, becoming the Duke and Duchess of overseas. And accordingly, in light of this, and of course the cold response of the royal family to the gruesome twosome's behaviour, you have proposed the question as to whether they will attend King Charles III's coronation. Of course, many of you, looking at it through the lens of your own experiences, would think, well, if I'd behaved that way, I wouldn't have the brass neck to go and turn up. But remember, this isn't you. This is about a narcissist and her primary victim. And therefore, is it the case that Harry's wife would attend? Well, first of all, she would expect to be invited. She would expect that to be the case because she is the Empress of Woke, St. Harry's wife, of all things empathic, and she would deem that she ought to attend. And therefore, her sense of entitlement means she would expect to receive an invitation. Her absence of accountability for her behaviours means that she doesn't see that there's anything wrong with the concept of being invited, notwithstanding the way that she has behaved. The way that her narcissism deals with this is, first of all, to diminish her behaviours, and, with regard to the balance that's left, essentially state this: I did what was necessary. I had to stand up and defend myself in the face of considerable provocation, hatred, and distaste. The things that I said were justified and necessary. And if that has upset people within the royal family, then so be it, because they upset me first. Remember, her narcissism will never, ever, ever allow her to see that she is the problem. It will never allow her to see that she is the one that, in the parlance of the schoolyard, started it first. It will never allow her to see that she was unreasonable, unbecoming, and demanding, but instead that she was the one that was the victim of the unpleasant behaviours by the royal family, the media, and the British public. You might then think that given the fact that apparently the royal family is such a horrible racist institution, and that the population of the United Kingdom are torch-bearing and pitchfork-wielding, rabid, foam-flecked-mouthed, swivelling, eyeballed bigots, and that the media is this gargantuan machine that's obsessed with crushing her, that she would not come back. In some instances, the narcissism may well determine that there is a hostile environment and dictate, don't attend. That isn't going to apply with Harry's wife. Why? Well, first of all, she believes that she should attend because of her rampant sense of entitlement. She's access all areas. Secondly, her narcissism will deem that it is a good thing that she attends because it will provide further opportunities to assert control over all of the people that are around her, draw fuel from them, manage that facade by demonstrating that she can rise above all of this supposed racial bigotry and that she is a decent person. It does not perceive that she's going to actually be roundly booed and harassed. It may well tell her that there'll be a small section that'll do that, but they'll be dealt with and hung up to dry like the bigots that they are. Instead, as a consequence of her delusion whereby she still thinks that she's popular, notwithstanding the evidence to the contrary, she will still turn up, believing that she's going to be broadly welcomed. She believes, because of compartmentalization, that people love her, that because she is such a wonderful and kind and delightful person, that they would want her to be there. Furthermore, she believes that because she is part of the royal family, that she should not only be invited, but she should be there and be very much amongst the celebrations. Of course, she's going to be in for a rude awakening, because on the assumption that they are invited, they are just going to be bit part players. They're not going to be front and centre. Of course, she will not like that. And it will be even worse than Queen Elizabeth II's funeral. Worse, because at that, while she was routinely and appropriately cold-shouldered by certain members of the royal family, Princess of Wales, Prince William, Countess of Wessex, for example, here it will be more of a case of being shunted to one side at a more happier occasion by virtue of it being the coronation. And it will be driven home to her, although she won't accept it, that she's just a bit part player, a private citizen, which is what she's apparently always wanted, except of course she doesn't. Showing the typical wanting it all behaviour of a narcissist, she is a private citizen when it suits her, and then a member of the royal family moments later when it suits her. She wants to be both in and out at the same time. Sure it is Duchess, you might imagine. She sees nothing wrong with that, because her narcissism doesn't allow her to see that this is a mutually diametrically opposed situation. She doesn't understand that she cannot both be in and out of the royal family at the same time. You're either in or you're out. Her narcissism doesn't allow her to comprehend that. It tells her that she can do that. It is that sense of entitlement and access all there is mentality that narcissists have. Remember, she has no sense of shame. She's not embarrassed. She doesn't feel bad for the way that she's behaved. Yes, there'll be occasions as a mid-ranger she'll express false contrition, but that's all it is. False contrition by way of a further manipulation. But for her, the coronation is too good an opportunity to miss with regard to the pursuit of the prime aims. Remember, she doesn't see it as that. Basically, she will think, we should attend, we're members of the royal family, we're important, and there may be further opportunities that could be obtained from it. In other words, subconsciously, there's lots of people who can be controlled through this attendance, there's lots of fuel that can be gathered, character traits to be acquired, and those lovely residual benefits. More footage. And of course the opportunity, should the royal family shunt them into 14th row Sussexdom, to then whinge about it. Rather than recognise, well, it's understandable that we were so far back at the Abbey to see what was going on, because we're not important members of the royal family any longer, and our behaviour is such that we don't merit such inclusion. She wouldn't see it that way. It would be simply, see, they've gone and done it to us again, Harry. We've come, we've done a decent thing, we've turned up, we know we've supported your father, we've come along with sunshine, Californian smiles, and we've been ostracised and cold-shouldered once again. Just reminds us of how horrible your family are, and every single time we offer them an olive branch, they snap it and throw it back at our faces. That will be her mentality. And of course, we will then all be treated to another whinge fest. Maybe an interview, maybe a television interview, maybe some edition through Netflix of how badly ostracised her and Ginger Bollocks were at the coronation. But ultimately, because of the way that her narcissism functions, she will look to attend the coronation. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.